All right, so we are now moving on to where you are actually going to draft a newspaper report. So, part of this I'm going to help you with, and part of it you're going to add your own individual information to. So, let's have a look at sort of an example of a newspaper report, some of the things that you would expect to see. So, you're going to expect to see a headline, which is just basically the title. Then you're going to see a byline. So that's going to be the name of the author, maybe what their job is, like head reporter, staff reporter, or just could be reporter. And then there's going to be some kind of a date that would go in that byline. So then place line, sometimes that can be just the city where it's occurring. And then you could do a dash and then the lead. So what happens in the lead? Basically, it's going to catch the reader's interest. The most important information is going to come. You're going to introduce a topic and you're going to answer most of the 5 W's, who, what, when, where, why, and how, in this first paragraph. As you move on to the body, then you would be introducing other interesting facts. So it could be a quote from somebody who was there that watched it. It could just be other interesting information. So let's look at this one. Car thief is caught trapped in a Target vehicle. So we know that the reporter now is Jim Day. It happened Wednesday, February 25th in 2009 in Canberra. So let's look at the next paragraph. A bungling Australian car thief was nabbed after accidentally locking himself in the vehicle he was trying to steal, police said Wednesday. So right there, we know what's happening. We know who's involved. We've got the when up here. We've got the where in terms of the place right off the bat. And what happened to him, or the how, is that he locked himself in the car. So police were called to a house in Adelaide after 2 thieves were heard trying to steal a car. On arrival, they were surprised to find a 53-year-old man hiding inside the vehicle. So you've just been given more details. The man, while breaking into the car, had locked himself in the car and couldn't get out. So here's a quote. Southern Australian police said, adding a second thief was found hiding in nearby bushes. Then you would go on with other information pieces as you get going. But this is kind of the big starting idea of what you would expect in a newspaper article. So the one that you are going to look at, some of the details I have provided for you, but then some of the things you are going to make up, and then you are going to fill out the template down below to write your own newspaper article. So now it's your turn to be the reporter. We will give you this picture. So here's the picture, and I'm going to give you a headline and some facts, and then you're going to combine these details to write a rough draft of a newspaper report. So let's look at the headline. Ice storm leaves hundreds without power in Barrie. So we know the problem was an ice storm. We know hundreds of people didn't have power. We know that it happened in Barrie. We've got some more details of a street or a road, 175. So that might be kind of interesting. We can see sort of a fence in the background. Looks like there's a guy there, but basically this is just the picture of the storm. We could see what it's doing to the trees. We could see how much ice has accumulated on some of the road signs. So let's look here. These are some of the details that I've provided, and you are going to include these in your report. So I'm not expecting you to come up with all new details. Some of these you are going to use, and then I'll show you where you're making up your own details. So who are the people involved in the story? We get this right from the title. So hundreds of residents, and then maybe business owners could be something, because what happens to the business owners during a storm like that? So what is happening? An ice storm brought down power lines and made travel dangerous. So think about the impact on these people. When did it happen? It was January 18th, 2019. It was happening, in Barrie, Ontario and surrounding areas. And why? So temperatures dropped below freezing during a record-breaking rainfall rainfall combined with high winds. And then how are people responding? Hydro One crews are working to restore power, but it will take several days before everyone has power restored. So if you're thinking about other details, you might think about how are business owners and how are residents in Barrie responding to the fact that they're not going to have power for possibly several days. What might be a quote that they would say? So that's where you are going to brainstorm some additional details that you're going to include in your news report. So for this activity, we've made up some of the facts for you, which is above. You're going to also invent some additional facts in order to write a complete news report. So for example, you can invent details about other effects of the ice storm. So you could make up a scenario with a person. So maybe somebody gets trapped in their car. Maybe you get a quote from that person. Maybe a business owner loses all of the meat that they have stored because they don't have a generator. Maybe residents rescue business owners by bringing generators so that the food and stuff doesn't get wasted. So think about things like that you could add as details. And you might get some comments from somebody like a resident. So a person who lives there, what a business owner would say. You'd give me details about what the business was. You can make it up. Or maybe what a hydro worker would say. So maybe the hydro worker would say something like, I haven't seen a storm like this in years. The damage is incredible. We're going to be working all through the night. Something like that. So more details, the byline. So you need to make up the journalist's name. Can be whatever, first name, last name. You need to make up where they work. Dateline, up above, you've got some information about when that happened. So that's going to go down here. You should probably make up what day of the week it was as well. So add some facts that provide additional information about the 5 W's and the how. So I just gave you some examples of things that you might add. And then think about at least one quote from a witness. So you're going to create the witness. You're going to make it up. Maybe it'll be Jane Doe, and Jane Doe owns the local donut shop. And then you're going to tell me the impact on Jane Doe and a quote from her. So your checklist that you're going to go through. So did you provide a byline? Did you provide a dateline to see what those things are? Up here, right? You'll be able to find the information of what it should look like. So did your lead paragraph answer most of the 5 W's? So you've got a lot of the information here that you're going to grab and put into your first paragraph. Did you write in third person? So that means you would say something like, Amanda Allison, the local hydro worker, stated, and then you could put a quote, right? What else? Did you add a quote? Remember your paragraphs, because it's a newspaper article. They can be pretty short. And think about what are the most important things that happened first. So a lot of these important details are going to happen first. And then some of the things that you make up later would happen later. So the template for your rough draft, you're going to write your byline here. You're going to write your dateline here. You are then going to move on and do your lead paragraph using some of the details that I've provided and any other details that you want to add. I think you can do this I think it'd be hard to do it in one sentence or two. I would probably do a few more. And then you're going to have a next paragraph. Some of these can be short, but you're going to give me a fact or information about something that happened during the storm. Same thing, fact or information. And then you're going to think about a fact or a quote. So that's where you're thinking about the imaginary people that you're making up. And just making up a quote about what they would say. Similar here. And then you've got to do some kind of conclusion. So your conclusion could be something like, it remains to be seen how long businesses will be closed as a result of the most incredible storm we've seen in years. So you've got to think about some kind of conclusion to tie it up. So reach out to me if you're having trouble. But I think you've got enough information there that you should be able to be okay. And look up here for examples of, you know what I mean, how you would do these different pieces, as well as how a quote should look, that sort of thing.